Good morning, everyone. This is Clara back with some cards. I'm card stamping with Clara. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And if you haven't joined me before, welcome. If you have, I'm glad to have you back. Today we're going to be looking at some cards from the Quiet Meadow set of stamps and dies. Before we get started, I'd like to ask you to please push the subscribe button. And my family has been telling me I haven't made it clear that if you folks should need to purchase something, if you would please use my host code, and that way you can get, if you purchase $50, I will give you a $10 gift with your first purchase. And then I have a stamp club that you can also participate in if you like. I try not to push sales too much, but I would like you to know that in order to purchase it from me, if you would please go to cardstampingwithclara.com. And there's a direct link to the Stampin' Up! Store from there that will give me credit, and it will also allow me to know who has purchased something from me, and then I can give you a gift. Okay, enough said about that. Today, like I said, we're going to make this card, and I wanted to make it look like a fall card, even though this set came out earlier in June, I guess it was, in the big catalog, or annual catalog, I should say. I sometimes call them the big and the little catalog, but anyway, this is the annual catalog that's good for a year that it came out in. So, this I made into a happy birthday, and I'll go through the steps in just a second, but I'd like to show you what this set is and how you can use it. The stamps, like I said, are called Quiet Meadow, and it's got this pretty image of flowers that you saw on the front of that card, and I only used the upper portion of it, but still it came from this stamp. Then it's got a large stamped flower, which you're going to also see, and some different designs, some printing that's just for background printing, and then there's some splashes of dots here. Thinking of you, you're too kind, love, and heartfelt love and caring thoughts are with you. And this is a nice cling set, and I am enjoying using it. The dies, let me reach over here and get these, are this die set is called Meadow, just Meadow dies. And it is a nice set, and you can use it in lots of ways. It's got lots of different designed flowers, a couple of butterflies. It's got a label that you can use to put some kind of sentiment on, and a little tag and what have you. So it's got lots of nice things in it. And I also used the Peaceful Moments Happy Birthday today for our card. If you've got another happy birthday, that's fine, or something else you want to put in it, that's fine. And my true Old Faithful layering circles here. I use these a lot. They're scalloped and smooth. So those are the tools we need for today's card. And now let's take a look at these cards that came from that set. This one is the using the cutouts from the dies. And I was looking for my card here. I had a card that I was going to give you some measurements on here in a little bit, and now I've managed to lose it. But nevertheless, this is from the, I used some blends to color these in, and I used some accents. I used some linen thread for the bow. The color here is Soft Succulent, and I believe this one is Pumpkin Pie. And I used the Pretty Heartfelt Love and Caring Thoughts Are With You. And this is the hammered metal embossing folder that I used to get this effect, to put in behind it. And I thought this one I would leave blank because, you know, this could be sent for a number of things, not necessarily just sympathy cards, but just, you know, something that where you're showing some caring. So that's what I did with this one. This one I did make into a sympathy card. I just made this card look like the kind of a silhouette effect with using the basic black, and this is on balmy blue. And here's the little pretty little label that's in this set, and I put on that thinking of you. Of course, I used the black to offset the blue to, you know, to make it stand out. And then on the inside of this one, I just put with deepest sympathy. And that one also came from the same set that I got the happy birthday out of. So it's a very versatile set, that Peaceful Moments one. This one is also a sympathy card. I used my blending brushes, they're called, I believe, to give this effect. I started with putting down a little bit of Melon Mambo, and then, excuse me, let me turn this off. I don't know why it let it come through on my watch. I have my phone turned off, but anyway. I have used some Night of Navy. I used some Melon Mambo, and then I probably maybe added in a little bit of the Highland Heather to give it that purplish tone. So I also used the dyes from this set to make what looks like leaves, and then I just put 3 butterflies on the front of it. And on the inside, I put a Night of Navy border with deepest sympathy. So I thought that was appropriate for the occasion. This one is a much lighter one. I used the balmy blue, and I sponged on this one. It doesn't look a lot like it, but I think that's what I did. And then these leaves, in this one, I used the color, the So Saffron, and then I used the Poppy Parade to put a little red on top of that gave it that effect. And another Thinking of You, this is Early Espresso, and Early Espresso that I colored in the limbs with. And on this one, I put Life is Better with a Friend Like You. So I thought that would be a nice fall card. This one, I used the Very Vanilla. I used the Evening Evergreen for the paper that's in behind it. And I also colored some of those little flowers. I used the Deep Rich Razzleberry, and I also used the Pale Pie in the center of these. And I used that circle set again. Heartfelt love and caring thoughts are with you. And I didn't put a sentiment in this one either, I think. It was the same. I felt the same way about this one as the other card, that, you know, you could write whatever you need to or whatever the occasion is. I also put some gems on it to make it look a little bit brighter. So this one, I embossed. I used some of the paper from that Simply Elegant paper set, the 12 by 12. That was one of the sheets that I had used in the last video, I think. And I still had it out, so I thought, well, I'm going to try that. So that's where this sheet of paper, of course, this is just gold foil and the gold embossing of that image. And I put some little gold gems on it. And hooray, it's your birthday. And this came from Many Messages, the stamp that's got lots of different messages on it, and you can cut out several at one time. And actually, I decided to use another one on the inside because I already had it embossed in gold. And it says, wishing you a year of magical moments and wonderful memories. And I put gold on this. So this one kind of makes this an elegant looking card that if you like gold and shine, this would be your card. I wanted to show you this card, even though it's made exactly like the card we're making today. As a matter of fact, I made this one first. And it's done in the mint macaron. It's done with the flowers from the hand pen set, just like the one we're doing today, but these are lighter colors and it looks more like spring. So I wanted you to see this one because this way you can compare these two. One is done in a darker green, and I felt like that this color was more fall and this was more spring. And this one I did not color, and this one today I did. So you can see how each of those look, and whichever version you prefer, at least you've got something to compare it with. And this is also a happy birthday card with mint macaron on the inside. And the very last one is using some of that script, and I colored this one in the Blushing Bride, and put some little gems and used some baker's twine and used the little tag that says love. And on the inside of this one, thinking of you with my heart, with all my heart, excuse me. This color, even though I used the Blushing Bride baker's twine, which is what I had, this is the Flirty Flamingo color. So I needed to tell you that. Let me back up. I may have colored that in with the light Flirty Flamingo. Okay. Now then, let's make the card for today. And I'm going to show you how I got the effect on the front. And we'll go by it step by step. These got kind of separated here a few minutes ago. We'll be all right. Okay. As always, I start with a card base. This is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and I use the black on the inside as an accent. And then I just put happy birthday. So that part I went ahead and it's done. So you don't have to be concerned with that until you fix yours. I want to show you how I did this. And as you can see, it's a unit now. So what I did, and what I suggest, that if you decide you want to make this, you do. Now, this little template on my website, don't print it off thinking it's going to be exactly right. It's there to give you the measurements, because I wasn't quite sure that I could get it to where it was perfect on my sheet and looked right on the video. But you need to you need to measure, it's what I'm trying to say. So cut you a piece, and I'm just using some really thin cardstock. At least it's supposed to be cardstock. You kind of question it. It's something I got back years ago, but it comes in handy every once in a while for something like this. All right. This piece is 4 inches wide, and it's 5 1/4 inches high, or, it's 4 by 5.5, 5 1/4, excuse me, 4 by 5 1/4. What you need to do is take a ruler and measure from your corner down 1 1/4 inches. Then draw a line from your 1 1/4 inch mark to the corner, dead center into the corner. Do the same thing at the bottom. Measure up 1 1/4 inches, put you a dot, and then take your ruler and make you a line straight into the corner. And that's the way you get 2 of these triangles that are exactly the same. Now, what I did, I'm just going to cut one of these apart. And you can do it with scissors, or you can do it with your trimmer, what have you. I did it with the trimmer because I don't always cut straight with the with the pair of scissors is what I'm trying to say. It's not coming out very well this morning. Okay, I'm going to use this piece of paper just so you can see. The very first thing you do is you glue down this piece. And what I suggest is to lay out, let me rewind here a second, is to cut cut your template first. Then lay your template out in its proper position, and that would be the position that it needs to be in. So, as you can see on this one, I used garden green. I used a piece of the hand-pinned 12 by 12 paper set, and then I used another triangle of the garden green down at the bottom. Now, if you decide that you want to use, say, polka dots, well, polka dots wouldn't be a problem. Maybe stripes or maybe something else, a design. Let's just say a design. Be careful that when you cut out your pieces, that you've got them turned the right way and the right side, because if you turn this one over and you cut it out of something and then you bring it back over here, it's not going to fit. So you got to make sure that it's laying the same way on top of your paper as you want it to look on your card. So before you start gluing, lay all your pieces that you have cut out, whatever you want it to look like. Okay, the reason that I used this piece, which is what I used on the back of this, I think you could probably even use a sheet of computer paper or something, just something thin. The reason I did that is because once you get this on and you get it glued onto this piece, then what you want to do is check your edges. That's why I went ahead and done this one. Check your edges and make sure that you don't have anything hanging over that will look bad on your card. And if it needs to be trimmed a little bit somewhere, trim it. Just make sure that you don't cut off too much, because if you do, you'll cut off your points and then it won't look right. So, just take a sliver off if you need to. If something, in the cutting process may have got, shifted just a tiny little bit. So I glue this piece on. I do glue these 3 pieces onto this piece so I can trim it up and make it look nice. And then when I get ready to put it on the black border piece, then all I have to do is lay it down just like a single sheet of paper and it'll look nice. Okay, so I think you probably understand about this, and I'm going to move all this over. Like I said, the dimensions of everything will be on, there will be a picture, and there'll be the dimensions, but, just measure your own. Don't try to cut it from the PDF, because it might not be accurate. All right, now we're going to put the card together. Putting pieces, I found out, onto a piece of paper that is going to be the same size that you want that panel to be, gluing them together like this is much easier than, say, trying to place all of them 1/8 of an inch out from the border piece. Now, since my background is black and my border is black, I'm going to have to pick this thing up so I can see enough to get it shifted where it needs to be. I didn't get it put down real good because it was hard to see, which might be a lesson. Lay something under it white so you can see what you're doing. Okay, now this has just got a tiny, tiny little border because I'm putting this extra piece around it. And I did cut this piece. I did make this piece 4 by 5 1/4 instead of the usual 3 3/4 by 5. So then when you lay it on your card front, you'll have another tiny little border. Just make sure you got your card turned right, because I have been known to glue them on upside down. It just kind of makes you sick when you do that, but it's going to happen on occasion. Just try to be mindful of that. Okay, now we're going to put this one on. And I think I dabbed a little glue there that I didn't mean to. That's okay, we'll get it off in a second. Okay. Actually, sometimes these little narrow borders are easier to balance because there's just not much distance. If you just barely get a little border around them, that's, that's going to be good. I'll check that little tiny drop of glue right there when I get done. I want it to dry before I try to get it off. Okay. Now then, the pieces that go here in the center. Let me pull this down. I've got the measurements on the back of it. The smooth one is using the smooth round die that cuts out a 2 3/8 inch circle. The scalloped one cuts out a 2 1/2 inch circle, and the black one is cut to 2 5/8 inch using another smooth one. So I stamped my image on here, and then I colored it. I used the light Cajun Craze, because I thought that looked a little bit more like fall. And I used the dark shaded spruce. There is not a blends that is garden green. And I felt like that was probably the best I could do to match it. So I didn't really think about that ahead of time, or maybe I would have chosen something else. But I think this still looks good. So we're going to put a little bit of, and if you've not used blends before, sometimes it helps to put something underneath them, because the ink, the ink can come through onto the surface that you're working. It doesn't usually, unless you use a lot of the ink. I will say this: you could use water markers to color this, whatever you've got, and just these images are relatively small, and they're a little tedious to color, especially the stems and what have you. So, if you like the other image and without any color, that's fine too. I did it both ways. And, just whatever you want to use. You don't have to use blends. You can use water, the Stamp Right markers or whatever. But the thing about Stampin' Up! That I like better than anything else is the fact that you can match your colors. It just drives me crazy to have a shade that doesn't quite match from something. And so therein is why I like Stampin' Up! You can count on the matching of the colors. Well, it looks like I didn't lay out my dimensionals, but I've got some here. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. And that lifts it up just a little bit. Gives it a little bit more of a three-dimensional look, I guess. Okay. Let me put one more there. I don't like a saggy middle. All right. I'm using my Pick-a tool here. It works pretty good for this. I'll tell you something I did learn the other day that might be beneficial to some of you. I had a brush that I had for a good while to clean out, the little pieces of paper when you use a die that's got small pieces. And it seemed like, it was taking me forever to clean out some tiny little pieces. And this picking tool has got a, you can purchase this little brush separately that will, screw into the main handle here. And it comes with 2 foam pieces like this. Well, what I found out was those foam pieces, I decided I would order one, hoping that, that the brush might do a little bit better job than what I had. And what I found was that the foam was really a lot more stiff, and it cleaned so much better by laying my dye on this and brushing it like that. I couldn't believe how much easier it was than what I had been doing. So if you don't have a good brush with a good piece of foam to get the pieces out, that really does help. Okay, I put that in the center as best I could. And these these triangles are kind of pointing like arrows, like it's opening up, to show this. So this is, all I can tell you is it's a design I made up. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but I started on one thing and it didn't work very well, and so this is what I ended up with. Okay, these little gems are the basic champagne jewels, and I really like these because it picked up that orangey Cajun craze kind of color in the background too. So that is the card, and it's done. It's not a hard card to make. It's just, following the directions step by step. We've got 2 cards now again. And actually with this one now I've got 3 with the other version. But there you go. So I hope you have enjoyed the video today. I hope it has helped you and will give you an idea or 2 of something that you can do. And if you do need to purchase something, I would really appreciate your business. There again, go to my store at cardstampingwithclara.com and be sure and put in the host code, because that is what tells me that you have shopped with me, and it will show up on my history of ordering. Otherwise, you could order something and I wouldn't know that you had ordered it. So it doesn't cost you any more to order with me than straight through to Stampin' Up. That was something I checked out immediately when I started purchasing things from Stampin' Up. Is it cheaper to go directly through Stampin' Up? Well, you're going through Stampin' Up anyway. It's just that, my name is associated when you use this host code. Okay, I hope I have adequately explained this. Like I said, a couple of members of my family said I wasn't doing a very good job with that. So I'm trying to improve. If you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate that. That helps me, and you can get a notification then as to when I put up my videos, and you can, glean what you can from them and go from there. Well, I hope you have a good rest of your week. We're halfway through here today, and I'm going to go and put this video on, and I will see you again as soon as I can get another set put together. Thank you so much.